Well, you hear that hindsight is 2020, and unfortunately with homeschool, it's no different. But I want to share with you today the 3 things that I wish I would have known before I started homeschooling. If you're new here, I'm Rian, a Christ-following wife and a homeschool mom to 3 boys. Here we talk all things homeschool, and we will learn together how to use our roles as wife, mom, teacher, and homemaker in order to glorify God. Homeschooling is definitely a journey. And just like with any journey, you change and you grow and you learn and you adapt along the way. But maybe, just maybe, if you glean off of other people's advice, then your journey might not be quite so hard. Now, there's things you're just gonna have to learn for yourself through trial and error, and we all have our unique struggles and varying different children who have different needs. And so everyone's journey looks different. But here are 3 things that I have learned along the way that I think can pretty much apply to any Christ-following mom in any situation, no matter how many kids you're schooling. And this is a collaboration with my friend Anna over at Just Making It Work. Guys, go check out her channel. You will not regret it. She is such a sweet, sweet mama. She's always full of encouragement, no matter if I'm talking to her via Marco Polo or Instagram or face-to-face, because we do live near each other, or in the YouTube comments, wherever it is. She always leaves me encouraged and challenged, and I love that about her. And I'm really looking forward to what she has to say in this collaboration, because she is kind of that step ahead of me. She has kids that she's getting ready to graduate soon. So she's been even on this path longer than I have, and so I'm excited to see what wisdom she has gleaned over the years. So the very first thing I wish I would have learned is that I have nothing to prove. Now, that sounds kind of like a sassy statement, like I don't have to prove myself to anybody, but that is not what I mean by that. What I mean is when I first chose to homeschool, it was, if you've heard my story, it was actually my husband's idea, and I was like, you're nuts. And then when it came time to actually like enroll my son in kindergarten, I was like, oh yeah, no, I'm not sending him anywhere. He's staying right here at home. And so when I first started though, there were a lot of people that questioned me. Now, thankfully, I did not have any haters or mean people who were just, flat out rude. But in, family members and friends, I could hear that, oh, okay. That very hesitant, like, why are you doing this? And that made me feel really, really insecure. And I knew in my heart that it was something we needed to do. And I knew that God would bless it if I just obeyed him. As in anything, if you obey him, he will give you the strength to do it and he will carry you through it. But there was just all these, people, well, is he going to be socialized? Well, this is okay for kindergarten, but what about next year? And, all these questions that made me second guess myself. And so instead of just saying, oh, you're right, I should just put him in school, I'm like, no, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it better than you ever thought I could do it, which was kind of a sassy attitude. But I was out to prove that not only could I teach my son, but I could teach him to be the best, that I could get him reading earlier than most kids, that I could get him advanced in math, and that I could do whatever it was. But all I was doing was overcompensating for my insecurities. I let those voices get in my head and I allowed them to make me insecure. Instead of saying, Lord, I know these voices, but I trust you more and I'm going to let you bless my efforts. I said, I'm gonna bust tail and work harder and do more and make sure my kid's the best of the best, because I didn't like that feeling of feeling insecure. If I could just prove myself to all the naysayers, then I'd be a-okay, right? And that is such a bad attitude to have, because with anything in obedience, in 1 Corinthians it says, one plants the seed, one waters. It is God who brings the increase. So yes, we are commanded to obey. And in my calling, I felt called to homeschool and I had to do that work. There was something I had to do, but the results are up to God, not me. So me thinking that I could make my child the best in everything is foolish, because we're human and none of us are meant to be the very best at everything. I wish I would have, I won't say worked less hard, but I wish I would have not pushed as hard for perfection and just trusted God to do the work that he only can do. I think that would have given me a lot more peace. I think it would have allowed me to put more into the relationship with my son. I mean, it was easy then because it was just the 2 of us and a baby, and I could give him a lot of attention, but I wish I would have taken that attention more toward his heart and less toward his academics. The second thing that I wish I would have learned that actually I am every year working on, and this year it just kind of really hit me because I have kind of one of those three-nagers. You might know what I'm talking about. And then I have a almost 8-year-old and a 10-year-old. And I'm just getting some pushback, a little bit of disrespect. I'm not going to go into all my kids', issues and struggles because those are theirs to deal with before the Lord. But I'm seeing some fruit that I'm like, oh, where was this planted? I don't remember planting this. And what I've learned is this: if you want to fix your home, fix your attitude. So if you're having a bad day and you're like, what is happening here? Everyone's mouthy, everyone's grumpy, everyone's bickering, and everyone's, some of that's going to happen because you're living in a house full of sinners, okay? Some of you are sinners and the Lord has redeemed you, and some of you are still just wallowing in your sin. And so conflict is going to happen. Bad attitudes are going to happen. But if you find yourself, that the whole house just seems chaotic and awful and you don't even want to be there, you need to check your heart, mama. I need to check my heart. These kids are mirrors. They mirror what they see. And so if they see every time you're aggravated, you're snapping at people, guess what? When their brother steals that special Lego piece from the pile that they were saving, expect them to snap at them. Expect them to lash out at their brother because that's what they've seen you do. I've often heard people refer to the mom as kind of the thermostat setter of the home. And I've found that to be very, very true. If I go into a day happy and ready to do my work with joy and ready to love on my kids and be intentional with them, and when issues arise, to address them and not to lash out or not to ignore them, but to address them in a biblical manner, when I set out to do that, our days turn out a lot better because they're seeing how I react and they're like, oh, okay. And it just kind of sets the whole temperature of the house. And you can't ask them to do what you're not willing to do. You can't tell them to go where you're not willing to go. I heard this at a meeting at church recently, and it's so true. You can expect them to develop the habit of daily Bible reading if they never see you open your word. You can't expect them to be patient. They're sitting there and you're making lunch and the three-nagers, I'm hungry. I need my food. I need a snack. I'm hungry. And you're sitting there making the lunch and you're, be patient, but you're not being patient with them. So how do you expect them to model what they're not seeing from you? Same thing, be kind or pay attention. If you say, I need you guys to pay attention, why do you never listen to me? But 90% of the day you have your phone in front of your face. I mean, if you can't pay attention to them, they don't want to pay attention to you. And ladies, I am speaking so much to myself right now. And it is hard in this day and age to keep the distractions away. It is hard, I'm not asking you to be the perfect model because we're all sinners and we're all going to fail. But we've been called up to higher. We've been called in motherhood to set the example before our children, to lead the way, to write God's words on their hearts so that when they are old, they do not depart from it. And so this takes intentional effort day after day after day. To be honest, a lot of my attitude can come from when I have expectations for the day and those get derailed, or there's certain things on my to-do list that I'm like, I just have to get these 3 things done today. And there's a kid with a discipline problem who really needs my one-on-one attention. That really hacks me off. That hacks me off in my selfish inner being because I had plans and you ruined them. Really, at the end of the day, is a finished to-do list that important? If your child's relationship with you is broken, or if they were acting up all day and you just ignored it and they went to bed thinking, okay, cool, this worked. I'll act like this again tomorrow. Or, they had a really bad heart issue that you needed to take to God's word and show them, and you didn't. I mean, is your to-do list that important? Again, I am talking to myself first and foremost. So if you want to set your day right, set your attitude right. And the third thing I wish I would have known before I started homeschooling is how much it would change me. I thought homeschooling was for them. I thought homeschooling was going to make my kids smarter than the average kid. I thought homeschooling would make my kids more pure than the average kid. I thought homeschooling would protect them from certain things. And all of these things may be true. You know, there's statistics that say homeschooled kids can get a better education than public schooled kids. There's statistics that say homeschool kids are less prone to do XYZ than public school kids because they're not exposed to it as early. But we all know, you know, kids are only going to be as smart as the Lord allows them to be. And you can't keep them in a bubble forever. And that's not like the main reason you should be homeschooling, is to just protect them from all things all the time. But I thought all those things were good things that I was doing, that I was going to get to teach them the Bible, that I was going to get to teach them truth and not have to separate God and academics. And again, that's true. But I didn't know that homeschooling was for me. I didn't realize how much I would be sanctified in this process. God has used this as a tool to refine me, to cut off those sharp edges, to make me aware of ugliness in my own heart that I didn't even know existed. And so you're going to see the ugly things in your children that are from you. But that's really a gift, guys. It's a gift to know, oh, this is where I am struggling and I've got to fix it, not just for my sake, but for theirs. And the only way to fix it is to take it to the cross and to obey and to be faithful in God's word, to know the truth and to speak the truth and to live the truth. And it is hard. It's a laying down of your life. You have those who say, well, I can never be with my kids 24 hours a day. And, you know, one, that's kind of sad, but two, it is hard to be with them that much. However, it is hard, but it is a joy. I find so much joy in getting to be there for all their moments. I find so much joy in getting to truly know them and love them, and truly getting to see their relationships with each other form, and how they bond and how they stand up for each other and care for each other. Like, this is an amazing joy, Mama. Anything that you're serving the Lord in is a joy. And in John, it says there's no greater love than laying down a life for a friend. So if you're laying down your life, if you're laying down, you know, your lunch with friends, and laying down your career that you could have had, all the extra money you could have had if you had been on 2 incomes, all these things, if you're laying down that in order to be obedient to the Lord and to serve your children well and raise them up in Him, that's the greatest love. It says no greater love than this. So lay down your life, Mama. I didn't know that it was going to be that hard. I didn't know that it was going to be this rewarding either. I just didn't know how it was going to affect me. I didn't expect to be learning. There's so many times when I am teaching something where I'm like, I do not remember ever hearing this in public school one time in my life. And it's so good. It's so good how it is changing me. But I just don't mean academically. I mean, when you have to teach God's word, you've got to learn it in a whole new way. And so homeschool was for me, and it has changed me for the better. And I love the change that it has brought into my life. In Luke, it says, blessed are those who hear and obey. So if you've heard this call to homeschool and you're obeying it and being faithful in it and doing the work, you are blessed. Even on the hard days, you are so, so blessed. So if you're just starting out, please consider these 3 things. You have nothing to prove. If you want to fix your day, fix your attitude, and this journey is going to change you. But if you're faithful to the Lord, it'll change you for the better. And if you're a veteran mom and you know all these things, just remember, just look back and dwell on these things. Because even as I'm sitting here recording this, I'm like, wow, God, you're good. I have a whole lot of work ahead of me, and it's going to be hard, but you are so good. Looking back just on the last, I don't know, my son's in 5th grade. We started when he was in preschool, however many years that is. God has been faithful, so, so faithful, and I don't deserve it. So be sure to check out Anna's channel. You will not regret it. And definitely check out the video about what she wishes she would have known before she started homeschooling. And let me know in the comments down below, what is one thing you have learned that you'd like to share with others? My next video will be a collaboration with Ashley over at Joyful Noise Learning, talking all about focus and goals for this new school year. So please subscribe if you haven't already, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.